Welcome to Easy English Talks podcast.
Hello, and welcome to English Podcast. I'm your host, Tom, and in this podcast, we explore English through real stories, natural conversations, and everyday situations. Each episode is designed to help you listen, learn, and enjoy English in a relaxed and engaging way. Before we start, if you're new here, make sure to watch this video till the end. If you find it useful, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment so you won't miss our next lessons. And be sure to hit the bell icon too. All right, let's get started. Today, I have several stories and dialogues to share with you. Each one carries a lesson, not just about language, but about life. Let's begin with the story of a man named David. David works as a manager in a large office. One morning, he received an urgent email from his boss. The task was clear: prepare a detailed report by the end of the day. David was already very busy. He thought about taking a shortcut by copying some old data from last month's report. As he worked, his colleague Sarah noticed. She leaned over and said gently, "David, it might be faster to copy the old data, but if your boss finds out, it could cause real trouble." David paused. He weighed the risk. Then he made a choice. He decided to stay honest and use the correct data. It took him longer, but by the afternoon, his report was accurate and complete. When his boss reviewed it, he was impressed by the precision and detail. David realized that integrity at work is always noticed and always valued. This story teaches us that honesty may take more time, but it builds trust and respect. Now, let's move to a conversation between Michael and Emma, a married couple planning a weekend trip. Michael said, "Emma, I think we should leave early in the morning to avoid traffic." Emma smiled. "That's a good idea. I'll prepare breakfast so we can eat on the way." On the day of the trip, everything went smoothly. They enjoyed the countryside, walked beside a quiet river, and talked about their favorite books. At one point, Michael said, "It feels great to take a break from the city and just enjoy nature." Emma nodded. Yes, moments like these help us recharge and appreciate the little things in life. This dialogue shows how simple conversations and small plans can create meaningful experiences. Next, I want to tell you about Sophie. Sophie started a small business selling homemade crafts. Balancing her new business with her day job was difficult. One evening, a customer named Mr. Thompson wrote to her, "Sophie, I really appreciate the effort you put into this. The piece is perfect, exactly what I imagined." Sophie felt proud and encouraged. She replied, "Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Your feedback means so much. I will continue to create with care." This story reminds us that perseverance, effort, and attention to detail can truly pay off. Now, imagine a busy cafe. A man named James accidentally spilled coffee on a customer's laptop. He immediately apologized and offered to pay for the damage. The cashier, Mr. Lee, appreciated his honesty and said, "Accidents happen. Thank you for handling it responsibly." James learned an important lesson. Sometimes the way we respond to mistakes matters more than the mistakes themselves. Let's hear a short workplace dialogue. Rachel said to Tom, "I'm worried about the deadline. We have so much work to do." Tom replied calmly, "I understand, Rachel. Let's divide the tasks and take one step at a time. We can manage this together." By the end of the week, the project was complete. Rachel realized that teamwork and clear communication can turn stress into success. Now, let's visit the home of Daniel and Laura. Daniel wanted to surprise his wife with a special dinner. He brought fresh ingredients and planned carefully. But that evening, he discovered he had forgotten one key ingredient. Instead of giving up, he improvised. Laura smiled and said, "Daniel, it doesn't matter if everything is perfect. What matters is the effort you put in." They laughed, enjoyed their meal, and realized that flexibility and a positive attitude are just as important as preparation. In a library, two students were preparing for an exam. Mark said to Julia, "I'm struggling to understand this concept in economics. Can you explain it?" Julia replied, "Of course. Let's break it down step by step. I'll give you examples to make it easier." By the end of their session, Mark felt much more confident. This shows us that asking questions and helping each other are essential parts of learning. Peter loved photography. One weekend, he visited a quiet village. There he met Mr. Adams, an elderly man who had lived in the village all his life. Peter asked, "Mr. Adams, what is your favorite part of living here?" Mr. Adams smiled. "It's the simple life and the people. Every day brings a new story if you take the time to notice." Peter captured beautiful images, but the greatest lesson was not in his camera. It was in learning to observe and appreciate the small details of life. At the office, Susan's team faced a tight deadline. Alex, one of her colleagues, suggested a bold new approach. Susan replied, "I like your creativity, Alex, but let's evaluate the risks before making a final decision." In the end, they blended Alex's idea with a safer plan. The project succeeded. This example highlights the balance between innovation and caution, especially in professional settings. Tom and Hannah were planning to repaint their living room. Tom said, "Let's do it this weekend." Hannah replied, "I agree, but let's choose a color we both like. Maybe we can look at samples online tonight." Their thoughtful communication helped them avoid misunderstandings and complete the renovation smoothly. Kevin wanted to learn cooking. At first, he made mistakes, but one day, he invited his neighbor, Mrs. Roberts, to taste his food. She said, "Kevin, this is a good start. Keep practicing, and you'll improve quickly." Encouraged, Kevin continued, and with patience, he grew more confident in the kitchen. This story reminds us that learning is a journey, and encouragement makes it easier. At a busy station, Sarah realized she had forgotten her ticket. She explained her situation politely to the ticket officer. The officer said, "Don't worry, Sarah. We can issue you a temporary ticket so you can travel today." Sarah was relieved and thankful. This shows how clear communication and honesty can resolve problems quickly. Finally, let's end with Anthony. Anthony was a project manager at a technology company. One Monday morning, he discovered that a client had suddenly changed their requirements. Deadlines were tight, and his team was stressed. Anthony gathered his colleagues and said, "I know this is unexpected, but if we organize our tasks carefully, we can handle it." His colleague Maria suggested breaking the project into smaller steps. Together, they built a new plan. By afternoon, the team felt confident again. When they presented the updated strategy to the client was impressed by their flexibility and professionalism. This story shows us the power of calm leadership, teamwork, and clear thinking in times of pressure. Welcome back. I'm Julia, and I'd like to share more stories and conversations that bring English learning to life in everyday situations. Let's begin with Andrew and Clara. They were planning to host a small dinner party for their neighbors. Andrew asked Clara, "Should we prepare the menu ourselves or order from a restaurant?" Clara replied, "I think we can cook together. It will be fun and more personal." During the preparation, Andrew accidentally burned one dish, but Clara reassured him. "Don't worry, it happens. Let's focus on the other dishes." When the neighbors arrived, everyone enjoyed the food and the warm atmosphere. This shows us that teamwork, patience, and a sense of humor make social gatherings more enjoyable and stress-free. Now, let's meet Olivia, a woman who loves volunteering. She joined a local organization that helps children learn to read. On her first day, she met a young boy named Liam who struggled with certain words. Olivia kindly said, "Liam, let's read this together slowly. Take your time." Liam gradually improved, and by the end of the week, he could read an entire short story aloud. Olivia felt proud, and his parents thanked her. This reminds us how patience and encouragement can have a lasting impact on others. In a busy supermarket, a man named Robert accidentally picked up the wrong item. The cashier noticed and said politely, "Sir, I think this is not what you intended. Would you like to swap it?" Robert smiled and replied, "Thank you for noticing. I appreciate your help." Such small interactions highlight the importance of attention to detail and polite communication in everyday life. Now, let's move to Ethan and Grace, a couple who decided to start jogging together in the mornings. On their first day, Ethan struggled to keep pace, but Grace encouraged him, saying, "We can start slowly and build up over time." After a few weeks, both of them noticed improvements in their stamina and mood. Ethan said, "I feel more energetic, and I enjoy spending this time with you," Grace added. It's a great way to stay healthy and bond together. Their story shows how persistence, encouragement, and shared goals can strengthen both health and relationships. Liam and Sophie, two colleagues, were preparing for a presentation. Liam said nervously, "I am nervous about presenting in front of the executives." Sophie replied, "I understand. Let's practice together. I can give you feedback and tips." After several practice sessions, Liam gained confidence and delivered a strong presentation. This teaches us that preparation, support, and practice reduce anxiety and improve performance. Henry enjoyed gardening. He decided to grow vegetables for the first time, but his plants did not grow well at the start. He felt frustrated until his neighbor, Mr. Daniels, offered some advice. Try changing the soil and watering at different times. Plants need patience and care. Henry followed the advice, and over the next few months, his garden flourished. His story illustrates how guidance, learning from mistakes, and perseverance lead to success. Paul and Rachel, a married couple, were discussing household responsibilities. Paul said, "Rachel, I think we should organize the cleaning schedules so it is fair for both of us." Rachel agreed. "If we divide the tasks and stick to it, our home will feel more organized by working together." They completed chores efficiently and avoided conflicts. This shows that planning, fairness, and clear communication make daily responsibilities manageable. James wanted to improve his public speaking skills. He joined a local speaking club where members gave speeches and received feedback. At first, he was nervous and stumbled over words, but one member, Mr. Clark, encouraged him. "James, your ideas are clear. Just focus on speaking slowly and making eye contact." James practiced regularly, followed the advice, and gradually became confident. This example shows how consistent effort and feedback help us grow. In a library, to students, Emily and Noah were preparing for a group project. Emily said to Noah, "Noah, we need to divide the research tasks so we finish on time." Noah replied, "Good idea. I'll focus on the background research and you can handle the analysis." By organizing their work and communicating clearly, they finished successfully. This highlights the importance of teamwork and planning in academic and professional tasks. Alex loved cooking international dishes. One day, he decided to make a traditional recipe from another country. He researched ingredients, followed the instructions carefully, and invited his wife Laura to taste the dish. Laura said, "Alex, this is delicious. I can tell you put a lot of effort into it." Alex felt proud and satisfied. His story teaches that curiosity, effort, and sharing experiences bring joy and learning. In a coffee shop, two friends, Hannah and David, were talking. Hannah said, "David, I've been trying to improve my time management skills." David replied, "Have you tried making a schedule and prioritizing tasks?" Hannah nodded. "Yes, and it's helping me stay more focused and productive." This conversation shows that sharing experiences and strategies helps people learn from each other. Michael and Sophie decided to redecorate their living room. Michael suggested, "Let's choose a color that makes the room feel warm and welcoming." Sophie added, "I agree. We can also rearrange the furniture to create more space." By working together and sharing ideas, they transformed the room beautifully. Their story shows how collaboration and shared vision can enhance creativity and relationships. In a workplace, Claire's team was preparing for an important client meeting. Ben, one of the team members, noticed an error in the report. Instead of panicking, he calmly said, "Claire, I found something we can correct before the meeting." Claire thanked him, and they updated the report just in time. The client was impressed with the accuracy. This demonstrates that attention to detail and teamwork lead to professional success. Olivia and Sam, two colleagues, were handling a challenging week. Olivia said, "Sam, I feel overwhelmed by the number of tasks." Sam replied, "I understand. Let's make a priority list and tackle them step by step." By organizing their workload and supporting each other, they finished efficiently. This conversation shows how collaboration and problem-solving skills reduce stress and improve productivity. Daniel wanted to learn to play the guitar. At first it was difficult, but he practiced daily. His friend, Mr. Harris, who was an experienced guitarist, advised him, "Focus on the basics first, and then gradually try more complex pieces." Daniel followed the advice and over time became proficient. His story teaches that patience, consistency, and guidance are essential for learning new skills. In a bookstore, a customer named Emma asked the clerk, "Could you recommend a good book for improving my English?" The clerk replied, "Yes, Emma. This book has practical examples and easy exercises." Emma smiled. "Thank you. I will try it and practice every day." This dialogue shows that seeking guidance and using the right resources helps learners achieve their goals. Richard and Laura planned a weekend hiking trip. Richard said, "We should pack snacks and water for the trail." Laura added, "Good idea. Let's also check the weather and wear comfortable shoes." They prepared carefully, enjoyed the hike, and had meaningful conversations along the way. Their story highlights how planning, attention to detail, and shared activities strengthen relationships. At a community event, volunteers were organizing a local charity drive. One volunteer, Sarah, noticed supplies were running low. She quickly informed a team leader who arranged for more supplies. The event continued smoothly, and the community appreciated their efforts. This shows that awareness and proactive thinking create positive outcomes. Isabella decided to start a new morning routine to feel more energetic. She woke up earlier, drank a glass of water, and took a short walk each day. After a week, her husband Thomas noticed the change. "Isabella, you seem happier and more energetic," "What changed?" she replied. "I started a small morning routine, and it helps me feel ready for the day." Thomas joined her, and together they enjoyed the benefits of this habit. Their experience shows how small, consistent changes can improve daily life. Nathan and Olivia, colleagues at work, were preparing for a presentation. Nathan said, "I think we need to simplify some of the slides so the message is clear." Olivia agreed. "Yes, focusing on clarity will help the client understand our ideas better by refining their work together." They delivered the presentation successfully and received positive feedback. This shows that collaboration and clear communication improve professional outcomes. Welcome back. I'm Julia, and I'd like to share more stories and conversations that bring English learning to life in everyday situations. Now, let me tell you about a man named Lucas. Lucas loved traveling, but he often felt anxious about planning trips. One day, he decided to visit a small town known for its historic sites. To prepare, he read travel guides, watched videos about the area, and made a checklist of things to do. When the trip began, he explored the town calmly, visited museums, and enjoyed the local cuisine. He realized that his preparation allowed him to enjoy the experience without stress. This story reminds us that planning ahead can reduce anxiety and make new experiences more enjoyable. Next, let's listen to a conversation between a husband and wife, Adam and Sophie, as they discussed budgeting for their household. Adam said, "Sophie, I think we should track our monthly expenses so we know where our money goes." Sophie replied, "That's a good idea. We can also set a savings goal for the future." By organizing their finances together, they felt more secure and confident in their decisions. This dialogue shows how teamwork and communication make managing shared responsibilities easier. Another story is about a young man named Ethan who wanted to improve his English speaking skills. He joined a conversation club where people practiced English daily. On his first day, he felt nervous and struggled to express his ideas. One participant, Mr. Lewis, encouraged him and said, "Ethan, take your time, speak slowly, and don't worry about mistakes." Over the next few weeks, Ethan practiced regularly, gained confidence, and improved his fluency. This example teaches that patience, encouragement, and practice are essential for progress in language learning. Now, let's imagine a scene in a supermarket. A man named William noticed an elderly customer struggling to reach an item on the top shelf. William said, "Excuse me, may I help you?" The customer smiled and replied, "Thank you very much. I appreciate your help." This small interaction reminds us how simple acts of kindness make everyday life more pleasant and respectful. Here's another story about a couple named Michael and Hannah. They decided to organize a small garden in their backyard. Michael suggested, "Let's plant flowers that bloom all year round," Hannah added. "We can also grow vegetables to use in our meals." They worked together, enjoyed the process, and created a beautiful and useful space. This story highlights how shared activities bring satisfaction and strengthen relationships. Now, let's move into the workplace. Emma and Ryan were working on a complicated report. Emma said, "Ryan, I'm having trouble understanding this section. Can you help?" Ryan replied, "Of course. Let's go through it step by step." With his help, Emma understood the report better and contributed effectively. This shows the importance of teamwork and mutual support in professional environments. Next, a story about Clara, who decided to take up painting as a hobby. At first, she struggled with shapes and colors, but she kept practicing every day. One afternoon, her husband Jason looked at her painting and said, "Clara, this is amazing. You've improved so much." Clara felt proud and motivated to continue. This example shows that persistence and dedication lead to growth and achievement, even in creative endeavors. Now, picture a conversation in a busy cafe between two friends, Liam and Grace. Liam said, "I've been trying to manage my time better, but I feel overwhelmed." Grace replied, "Have you tried making a daily plan and focusing on one task at a time?" Liam said, "I'll try that. It might help me feel less stressed." This conversation shows how sharing strategies with friends can support personal growth. Another story is about a man named Oliver who worked in a busy office. One day, he noticed that a new colleague, Anna, seemed confused about the procedures. Oliver offered, "Anna, I can show you how things work here if you like." Anna appreciated his guidance and quickly adapted to her role. This story highlights how support and mentorship make professional environments stronger. Now, let's listen to David and Emily, a husband and wife planning a family gathering. David said, "Emily, I think we should send invitations early so everyone has time to plan." Emily replied, "Good idea. We can also prepare a menu and ask guests about their preferences." Their careful planning made the gathering enjoyable and stress-free. This dialogue shows how communication and collaboration improve personal events. Next, a story about Jack, a young man who decided to start running every morning to improve his health. At first, he struggled even with short distances. One day, his friend Mr. Parker said, "Jack, start small and increase gradually. Consistency is more important than speed." Jack followed the advice, and over time, he ran longer distances and felt healthier. This story teaches that steady progress and consistency bring long-term results. Now, imagine two colleagues, Sophia and Liam, working on a last-minute project. Sophia said, "Liam, the deadline is tomorrow, and there's still a lot to do." Liam replied, "Let's divide the tasks and focus on the most important parts first." By working efficiently together, they completed the project on time. This conversation shows how focus and teamwork help overcome challenges. Another story is about Daniel and Rachel, a husband and wife who decided to try a new recipe together. Daniel suggested, "Let's cook something different today and make it fun." Rachel replied, "Yes, we can experiment with flavors and enjoy the process." They laughed over small mistakes and enjoyed a delicious dinner. This shows how collaboration and creativity make shared activities enjoyable. At a community center, volunteers were preparing an event for children. One volunteer, Sophie, noticed a problem with the seating arrangement. She quickly informed the team, and they adjusted everything before the event started. The children and parents enjoyed the day, and the teamwork was appreciated. This example shows that observation and quick thinking create positive results in community work. Next, a story about Natalie, who decided to take her first photography class. At first, she was nervous, but her instructor, Mr. Brown, explained everything step by step. Natalie practiced daily, experimented with lighting, and tried different techniques. After a few weeks, she captured beautiful photos and felt proud of her progress. This story reminds us that guidance, practice, and curiosity lead to confidence. Now, imagine two friends, Mark and Olivia, planning a weekend outing. Mark said, "Should we go to the park or visit the museum?" Olivia replied, "Let's visit the museum first, and then we can relax in the park." By discussing their preferences, they enjoyed a balanced and fun day together. This shows how communication and compromise make shared experiences better. Here's another story about Ethan, who wanted to improve his cooking skills. He researched recipes, watched tutorials, and tried new ingredients. His wife Clara tasted his dishes and said, "Ethan, these are delicious. I appreciate your effort to cook healthy meals for us." Ethan felt motivated and continued practicing. This story highlights how effort and learning strengthen both skills and relationships. Now picture a scene in a bookstore. A student named Alice was looking for reference books. The store clerk said, "Alice, I can help you find the books you need for your course." Alice replied, "Thank you. That would save me a lot of time." With polite communication and guidance, she found the resources efficiently. This interaction shows the value of seeking help. Next, a story about Thomas and Emily who decided to redecorate their home office. Thomas suggested, "Let's arrange the furniture so we have more space to work comfortably." Emily replied, "Yes, and we can add some plants for a better atmosphere." They created a pleasant and functional workspace together. This shows how collaboration and creativity improve both work and living spaces. Now let's hear a conversation between two colleagues, Rachel and David. Rachel said, "David, the client has very specific expectations. How should we handle it?" David replied, "Let's prepare a clear plan and anticipate their questions." Together, they met the client's expectations successfully. This example highlights preparation and teamwork in professional settings. Another story is about Michael, who decided to start learning a new language. He practiced daily, joined a conversation group, and worked on pronunciation. At first, he struggled, but with consistent effort, he improved significantly. His wife Laura noticed his progress and said, "Michael, you're doing great. Keep practicing." This shows that persistence and practice lead to growth. Finally, let me share a story about Victor. He realized he was spending too much time on his phone in the mornings, which left him feeling rushed and unproductive. Victor decided to wake up an hour earlier and dedicate that time to reading, stretching, and planning his day. One morning, his wife Laura noticed the change and said, "Victor, you seem more focused and calm. This routine really suits you." Victor replied, "Yes. Small changes like this make a big difference." Laura joined him for morning walks, and together they created a routine that boosted both their mood and energy. This story shows that small, intentional changes can transform daily life in meaningful ways. Welcome back to English Without Limit. I'm your host, Julia. Next, let's listen to a dialogue between two colleagues, Samuel and Olivia, who were brainstorming ideas for a marketing campaign. Samuel said, "Olivia, I think we should focus on storytelling to engage our audience." Olivia replied, "That's a great idea. Let's also include real-life examples to make it relatable." By combining their ideas, they created a campaign that was both creative and effective. This conversation shows how collaboration and sharing ideas lead to better outcomes. Now, let's move to a story about a young woman named Clara who decided to start journaling. She wanted to reflect on her daily experiences and set goals for personal growth. Clara wrote every night before bed, noting things she was grateful for and challenges she faced. Her husband, Ethan, noticed her positive attitude and asked, "Clara, what changed?" She replied, "Journaling helps me see things clearly and focus on solutions." This story highlights the power of self-reflection and consistency in improving mindset and well-being. In a busy coffee shop, a man named Daniel noticed that a customer had accidentally dropped a wallet. He picked it up and said, "Excuse me, I think this belongs to you." The customer, relieved, thanked him warmly. This interaction shows how simple acts of honesty and attentiveness can make a big difference in everyday life. There's also the story of a husband and wife, Alex and Rachel, who decided to redecorate their living room. Alex suggested. Rachel, let's choose colors that make the space feel warm and inviting. Rachel replied, I like that idea. We can also add some personal touches with photos and decorations. Together, they planned and completed the renovation. This story demonstrates that cooperation, creativity, and communication enhance shared experiences and strengthen relationships. Another dialogue takes place between two colleagues, Hannah and Liam, who were discussing a project deadline. Hannah said, Liam, the deadline is approaching, and we need to finalize the report. Liam replied, I suggest we divide the tasks and review each section carefully. By organizing their work and supporting each other, they completed the project on time. This conversation highlights the importance of teamwork, planning, and effective communication in professional settings. Then, we hear about Nathan, a young man who wanted to improve his fitness. He started going to the gym 3 times a week and gradually increased the intensity of his workouts. His wife Sophia noticed his energy and said, Nathan, you look stronger and more confident. This routine is really working. Nathan felt motivated and continued exercising consistently. His story teaches us that dedication, gradual progress, and support from loved ones are key to achieving health goals. In a quiet library, 2 students, Emily and Jack, were preparing for a presentation. Emily said, Jack, I am worried about explaining this topic clearly. Jack replied, Let's practice together. I can help you structure your points so it makes sense. By rehearsing and supporting each other, they delivered a confident and organized presentation. This shows the value of preparation, teamwork, and mutual assistance in achieving success. We also meet Peter, a man who loves gardening. He wanted to grow vegetables for the first time. At first, his plants did not thrive, and he felt discouraged. One day, his neighbor, Mrs. Adams, offered advice. Try changing the soil and watering at different times. Plants need care and patience. Peter followed her suggestions, and over time, his garden flourished. This story demonstrates that learning from others, persistence, and careful attention lead to positive results. At home, Thomas and Emma were discussing weekend plans. Thomas said, Emma, should we go for a short trip or stay home and relax? Emma replied, Let's go for a trip. It will be refreshing, and we can plan some outdoor activities. By deciding together, they enjoyed a fulfilling weekend. This conversation highlights how joint decision-making and shared experiences strengthen relationships. Sophia's story is also inspiring. She wanted to improve her cooking skills. She tried different recipes, followed tutorials, and practiced daily. One day, she invited her husband Daniel to taste her new dish. Daniel said, Sophia, this is delicious. Your effort really shows. Sophia felt encouraged and continued experimenting with new recipes. Her example shows that persistence, practice, and positive feedback motivate personal growth. In a supermarket, Laura noticed that an elderly man was struggling to reach an item on a high shelf. She politely asked, May I help you? The man smiled and replied, Thank you. That's very kind of you. This interaction shows that small gestures of kindness make daily life smoother and more pleasant. Michael and Clara also decided to start exercising together. Michael suggested jogging in the park every morning, and Clara agreed. At first it was challenging, but over time their stamina improved, and they enjoyed spending this time together. Michael said, I feel more energized and happy. Clara added, It's also a wonderful way to bond and support each other. Their story demonstrates that shared goals and consistent efforts strengthen both health and relationships. Another workplace story comes from Rachel and Oliver, who were preparing a client presentation. Rachel said, "Oliver, I think we should simplify the slides and focus on key points." Oliver replied, "Agreed." Clear communication will make the presentation more effective by combining clarity and preparation. They impressed the client. This conversation emphasizes the importance of teamwork, preparation, and effective communication in achieving success. Henry, on the other hand, decided to take up painting. At first, he struggled with proportions and color choices, but he practiced every day. His wife Laura noticed his improvement and said, "Henry, your paintings are beautiful now. Your hard work shows." Henry felt proud and motivated to continue. This example shows that dedication and consistent practice lead to growth and skill development. In a busy cafe, Liam told his friend Grace, "I've been trying to improve my daily schedule, but I often feel overwhelmed." Grace replied, "Have you tried prioritizing tasks and focusing on one thing at a time?" Liam said, "I'll try that. It sounds manageable." This conversation demonstrates that sharing advice and practical strategies helps personal development. Kevin's journey also inspires us. He decided to learn a new language. He practiced speaking daily, joined conversation groups, and used online tools. At first, he made many mistakes, but over time, his fluency improved. His wife Emma said, "Kevin, I can see your progress. Keep practicing, and you will improve even faster." This story shows that consistency, patience, and support from loved ones are key to learning effectively. Daniel and Sophia worked together on a home renovation project. Daniel said, "Sophia, we should focus on the living room first." Sophia replied, "I agree. Let's also choose colors and furniture that create a cozy atmosphere." By planning and working together, they completed the project successfully. Their story highlights how cooperation, communication, and a shared vision improve outcomes in everyday projects. Oliver, too, wanted to improve his public speaking skills. He joined a speaking club and practiced regularly. One member, Mr. Harris, advised, "Speak slowly, focus on clarity, and maintain eye contact." Oliver followed the advice and gradually gained confidence. His story demonstrates that guidance, practice, and persistence are essential for mastering new skills. Emma and Ryan also showed how teamwork makes a difference. Emma said, "Ryan, I am unsure about this section of the report." Ryan replied, "Let's go through it together and break it down." By collaborating and supporting each other, they finished the report efficiently. This conversation emphasizes teamwork and mutual assistance in achieving professional goals. Then there's Natalie, who decided to learn photography. She practiced daily, experimented with different techniques, and sought advice from her instructor, Mr. Brown. Over time, she captured impressive photos and felt proud of her progress. Her story shows that curiosity, practice, and guidance lead to growth and confidence. In a bookstore, a student named Alice was searching for reference materials. The store clerk said, "Alice, I can help you find the books for your course." Alice replied, "Thank you. That would save me time." This dialogue shows how asking for help and using available resources improves efficiency and learning. Finally, Thomas and Emily planned a weekend hike. Thomas said, "Emily, let's pack water and snacks for the trail." Emily replied, "Good idea. We should also check the weather before leaving." They enjoyed the hike and meaningful conversations along the way. Their story highlights how preparation, communication, and shared experiences enhance relationships. Welcome back to English Without Limit. I'm Julia, your host. At a community event, volunteers were organizing activities for children. One volunteer, Sarah, noticed a problem with supplies and immediately informed the team leader. The issue was resolved quickly, and the event went smoothly. This example shows how awareness, proactive thinking, and teamwork create positive outcomes in community efforts. There's also the story of a young man named Michael who wanted to improve his writing skills. He practiced daily, wrote short stories, and shared them with his wife, Laura. She offered constructive feedback, and over time, Michael's writing improved significantly. His journey reminds us that consistent practice and supportive feedback help achieve personal growth. Two friends, Mark and Olivia, were planning a cultural outing. Mark asked, "Should we visit the museum or the park first?" Olivia replied, "Let's go to the museum and then relax in the park afterward." By discussing and planning together, they enjoyed a balanced and memorable day. Their conversation shows how communication and compromise enrich shared experiences. Another inspiring example comes from Ethan, who wanted to improve his cooking for healthier meals. He followed tutorials, experimented with ingredients, and practiced regularly. His wife Clara said, "Ethan, these dishes are delicious, and I appreciate your effort." Encouraged, Ethan felt motivated to continue learning. His story highlights how effort, consistency, and shared enjoyment foster personal growth. In a library, a student named Olivia was looking for study materials. The librarian said, "I can help you find the books you need." Olivia replied, "Thank you, that will save me time." This interaction shows how asking for help and using resources efficiently supports learning. Daniel and Rachel also worked on redecorating their home office. Daniel suggested arranging the furniture for more space. Rachel added, "Let's also bring in some plants to create a pleasant atmosphere." By collaborating, they improved their workspace effectively. This story shows that teamwork and communication enhance shared projects. In another workplace example, Rachel and David were preparing for a client meeting. Rachel said, "David, the client has specific expectations. How should we approach this?" David replied, "We should prepare a clear plan and anticipate their questions." Their preparation and teamwork impressed the client. This shows how planning and collaboration create professional success. Michael, the same young man from earlier, also decided to learn a new language. He practiced daily, used online tools, and attended conversation sessions. Over time, his fluency improved, and his wife Laura said, "Michael, your progress is impressive. Keep practicing, and you will improve even faster." His example shows that persistence, daily effort, and encouragement from loved ones are key to learning effectively. Let's also look at Amelia's story. She wanted to improve her productivity at work, but often got distracted by phone notifications. To change this, Amelia created a clear schedule, turned off unnecessary alerts, and dedicated focused time blocks to important tasks. Her husband David noticed and said, "Amelia, you seem more focused and less stressed lately. What's your secret?" She replied, "I started planning my day and minimizing distractions. It makes a huge difference." Inspired by her improvement, David tried the same approach. Together, they found that structured routines help them stay productive and calm. Their experience demonstrates that small, intentional changes can transform habits and focus. To colleagues, Sophie and Liam also learned the value of teamwork. While preparing a complex presentation, Sophie said, "I think we should simplify the content and highlight only the key points." Liam agreed. "That will make it easier for the audience to understand and remember." By combining their ideas, they created a presentation that was clear, engaging, and effective. Benjamin's story takes us to mindfulness. He wanted to reduce stress and began practicing meditation each morning. Just 10 minutes of breathing and focus helped him feel calmer and more patient. His wife Rachel noticed and asked, "Benjamin, you seem more relaxed. What changed?" He replied, "Meditation helps me stay calm even on stressful days." Inspired, she joined him, and together they experienced the benefits of mindfulness. At a supermarket, Ethan noticed a shopper struggling with heavy bags. He offered, "May I help you carry these to your car?" The shopper smiled and said, "Thank you. That's very kind of you." This small gesture shows how helpfulness makes everyday life smoother and more positive. At home, Lucas and Olivia decided to organize a small garden. Lucas suggested planting flowers and herbs that were easy to maintain. Olivia added, "We can also grow some vegetables for our meals." Working together, they created a garden that was both beautiful and practical. Their story demonstrates how cooperation, planning, and shared activities strengthen relationships. In another workplace moment, Ryan and Emily were preparing an urgent report. Ryan said, "The deadline is tight. How should we divide the work?" Emily replied, "Let's prioritize the most critical sections first." By organizing tasks and supporting each other, they completed the report efficiently. This example highlights how planning and mutual support create professional success. Thomas also wanted to improve his fitness. He began jogging every morning, gradually increasing his distance. His wife Amelia said, "Thomas, you look healthier and more confident. This routine really suits you." Encouraged, Thomas kept exercising consistently. His story shows that persistence, gradual progress, and support from loved ones lead to improved health and confidence. In a library, Sophie told her friend Noah, "I am having trouble understanding this chapter." Noah replied, "Let's go through it together." Step by step, with his help, Sophie gained clarity and confidence. This shows the value of teamwork and peer support in learning. Henry loved cooking, but decided to challenge himself with baking bread. At first, his dough didn't rise properly, and he felt discouraged. His neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, advised, "Baking takes patience. Try adjusting the temperature and timing." Henry followed her tips and eventually baked a perfect loaf. His journey shows that patience, guidance, and practice lead to success. Daniel and Clara also had a conversation about their weekend. Daniel asked, "Should we take a short trip or relax at home?" Clara replied, "Let's go on a trip. We can enjoy nature and have new experiences together." They planned an enjoyable weekend, showing the importance of communication and shared decision-making. Olivia, a young woman, decided to learn painting. She practiced daily, experimenting with colors and techniques. Her husband James noticed and said, "Your paintings are beautiful. I can see your dedication." Encouraged, Olivia kept practicing and grew her skills. Her story shows how persistence and encouragement lead to achievement. At a cafe, Hannah told her friend Liam, "I feel overwhelmed by all the tasks I have this week." Liam suggested, "Try making a list and tackling one task at a time. It will help you stay organized." Hannah agreed and decided to try it. Their exchange shows how sharing strategies helps people manage stress and boost productivity. Oliver, too, found growth through a hobby. He took up photography, explored different styles, and sought feedback from his instructor, Mr. Parker. Over time, his photos improved, and he felt proud of his progress. His example shows that curiosity, practice, and guidance build skill and confidence. In a bookstore, Alice asked for help improving her English. The clerk suggested books with practical exercises and examples. Alice said, "Thank you. That will help me a lot." This shows how asking for help and using the right resources supports learning. Finally, Thomas and Emily decided to go hiking for the first time. Thomas said, "Let's pack water, snacks, and check the weather before we leave." Emily added, "And we should wear comfortable shoes together." They enjoyed the hike, explored nature, and had meaningful conversations. Their experience shows that preparation, communication, and shared activities strengthen relationships. Let's continue with more real-life stories, dialogues, and examples that help you learn English naturally, while also giving you ideas you can use in everyday life. Imagine a real-life situation in a community center. Volunteers were organizing a local event for children. One volunteer, Sarah, noticed that supplies were running short. She quickly informed the team leader, and together they arranged for additional materials. The event continued smoothly without disruption. This shows us that observation, quick thinking, and teamwork lead to successful outcomes. Now, let's hear the story of a young man named Michael who wanted to improve his writing. Every day he wrote short stories and shared them with his wife Laura. She gave him constructive feedback, pointing out strengths and areas to improve. With time, Michael's writing grew stronger, and he became more confident in his abilities. This story reminds us of the value of consistent practice and supportive feedback in personal growth. Here's a dialogue between two friends, Mark and Olivia, who were planning a cultural outing. Mark asked Olivia, "Should we visit the museum or the park first?" Olivia replied, "Let's start with the museum, and then we can relax in the park afterward." By communicating and making decisions together, they enjoyed a balanced and memorable day. This shows us how compromise and shared planning improve experiences. Next, let's think about Ethan, a man who wanted to cook healthier meals for himself and his family. He tried new recipes, experimented with ingredients, and practiced often. His wife, Clara, encouraged him by saying, "Ethan, these dishes are delicious and healthy." With her support, Ethan felt motivated to continue learning. This story demonstrates that effort, experimentation, and encouragement strengthened both skills and relationships. Now, picture a student named Olivia in the library. She needed reference materials for her studies. The librarian said, "I can help you find the books you need." Olivia replied, "Thank you. That will save me time." This short exchange shows the importance of seeking help and using resources efficiently when learning. Another story takes us to Daniel and Rachel, a husband and wife redecorating their home office. Daniel suggested rearranging the furniture to create more space. Rachel added, "We can also bring in some plants to make it more comfortable." By combining their ideas, they created a functional and pleasant workspace. This shows collaboration and communication in shared projects. Now, let's move into a workplace situation. To colleagues, Rachel and David were preparing for a client presentation. Rachel said to David, "The client has specific expectations. How should we approach this?" David replied, "Let's prepare a clear plan and anticipate their questions." Their preparation and teamwork resulted in a successful presentation. This conversation highlights the power of planning and collaboration in professional success. Here's another story about Michael, this time focused on language learning. He practiced every day, used online tools, and joined conversation sessions. Gradually, his fluency improved. His wife Laura encouraged him by saying, "Michael, you've improved so much. Keep practicing." This story shows that consistent effort and support are essential for mastering new skills. Now, imagine Daniel and Sophia planning a home renovation. Daniel suggested, "Let's focus on the living room first." Sophia agreed, "And let's choose furniture and colors that make it cozy." By discussing their ideas and working together, they completed the renovation successfully. This demonstrates cooperation, communication, and shared vision in achieving goals. Next is the story of Oliver, who wanted to improve his public speaking. He joined a speaking club, practiced regularly, and listened carefully to advice from a member named Mr. Harris, who said, "Focus on clarity and maintain eye contact." Oliver followed this advice and became more confident in front of audiences. This shows how guidance, persistence, and practice help us grow. In another workplace example, Emma and Ryan were working on a report. Emma admitted, "Ryan, I'm struggling with this section." Ryan replied, "Let's review it together and break it down step by step." By collaborating, they completed the report efficiently. This example highlights teamwork and mutual support in achieving professional goals. Now, let's meet Natalie, a young woman who discovered her passion for photography. She practiced daily, experimented with new techniques, and sought feedback from experienced photographers. Over time, her skills improved and her confidence grew. This shows us that curiosity, consistent practice, and guidance lead to personal development. Let's move to another story. Simon wanted to improve his productivity during the day. He realized he often wasted time scrolling through social media. To change this habit, he blocked distracting apps and set specific times to check his messages. His wife Clara noticed the change and said, "Simon, you seem more focused and less stressed. What did you do?" Simon replied, "I organized my time better and reduced distractions." Clara decided to try the same approach, and together they created a more productive home environment. This shows how small adjustments in daily habits can lead to big improvements. Now imagine Rachel and Daniel preparing a project proposal. Rachel suggested, "Daniel, I think we should highlight the key benefits first to capture attention." Daniel replied, "Great idea. Let's also provide clear examples to support our points." By combining their ideas, they created a compelling proposal that impressed their supervisors. This highlights the value of teamwork and strategic thinking in professional success. Next, we have Sophie, who wanted to improve her mental health. She began journaling each evening, writing down her thoughts and feelings. Her husband Liam noticed she seemed calmer and asked, "Sophie, journaling seems to help you. How does it feel?" She answered, "It helps me understand my emotions and feel more in control, inspired." Liam started journaling as well, and both of them experienced greater calm and mindfulness. This shows how small habits improve emotional well-being. Now, imagine a situation in a supermarket. A woman named Emily saw an elderly customer struggling to reach a product on a high shelf. Emily offered, "May I help you with that?" The customer smiled warmly and said, "Thank you, that's very kind." This small gesture reminds us that helpfulness can brighten daily life and make it easier for others. Now, let's hear about Michael and Olivia, a husband and wife who wanted to start a home garden. Michael suggested, "Let's plant flowers that bloom year-round and add some herbs." Olivia replied, "Great idea. We can also plant a few vegetables for our meals." Together, they designed a garden that was both practical and beautiful. This shows how collaboration and shared planning enrich daily life. In another workplace story, Emma and Noah were facing a tight deadline. Emma said, "Noah, the report must be finished by tomorrow." How should we divide the work? Noah replied. Let's focus on the most critical sections first and review the rest later. By prioritizing and supporting each other, they completed the task efficiently. This shows us the importance of teamwork, organization, and focus under pressure. Next comes the story of Lucas, who wanted to improve his physical fitness. He started exercising regularly, beginning with short workouts and gradually increasing the intensity. His wife Clara noticed the change and said, "Lucas, you look healthier and more confident. Keep going." Encouraged by her support, Lucas stayed consistent with his routine. This story shows how persistence and encouragement lead to better health and self-confidence. Now imagine Alice and Henry, two students studying in the library. Alice said, "Henry, I'm struggling with this topic." Henry replied, "Let's review it together. I can explain it step by step." With teamwork and peer support, they gained clarity and confidence before their exam. Here's another story about Thomas, who wanted to bake bread for the first time. His early attempts failed, and he felt frustrated. His neighbor, Mrs. Adams, encouraged him by saying, "Baking requires patience and practice. Try adjusting the timing and ingredients." Thomas followed her advice, and soon he baked a perfect loaf. This story reminds us that patience, persistence, and learning from guidance bring success. Now let's listen to a weekend planning conversation between Daniel and Emily. Daniel asked, "Should we visit the park or go on a short trip?" Emily replied, "Let's go on a trip. It will be refreshing and we can explore new places by discussing and deciding together." They enjoyed a fun and fulfilling weekend. This dialogue highlights the importance of communication and shared decisions. And finally, Natalie wanted to improve her painting. She practiced every day, experimenting with colors and techniques. Her husband James admired her progress and said, "Natalie, your paintings are impressive. Your dedication really shows." Encouraged, Natalie continued to paint and develop her skills further. This shows us that consistent effort and encouragement lead to growth and achievement. As we come to the end of today's stories and conversations, we can see a clear pattern emerging. Every example, whether from families, schools, workplaces, or communities, reminds us of the power of small actions, consistent effort, and thoughtful communication. From practicing consistently, to staying curious, to communicating clearly, and helping where you can. Progress and happiness often come not from grand gestures, but from patience, persistence, and collaboration. Notice how every story highlights one simple truth. Growth and success, whether personal, professional, or communal, are built step by step through curiosity, courage, and caring for others. Listening, sharing ideas, and offering support can transform ordinary moments into meaningful achievements. So, as you go about your day, remember these lessons. Practice consistently, stay curious, communicate clearly, and help where you can. Every small effort counts, every kind word matters, and every thoughtful action builds a better life, not just for you, but for everyone around you. This is Julia, reminding you that English learning, personal growth, and life itself are journeys made richer by connection, reflection, and continuous effort. Keep practicing, keep exploring, and keep creating your own stories of progress.